Welcome back to your Stradivari podcast about the fascinating world of string instruments. Today, we are going to take a little journey through time. Imagine we travel back, far back, to the 16th century, to the northern Italian city of Cremona. At that time, the city was still quiet, small, but it was soon to become a worldwide center of violin making. And this was mainly due to one family, the Amatis. Perhaps you have heard the name before, but what few people know is that this family was the origin of an entire tradition, without which there would have been neither Stradivari nor Guarneri. So today, we will talk about the Amati family, the forefathers from Cremona, and why they are so crucial to the history of the violin. Everything begins with Andrea Amati, born around 1505, presumably in Cremona. We don't know much about him, no letters, no diaries, no personal stories. What we do have are his instruments, and they speak a clear language. Andrea Amati is considered the first known violin maker to have created a functional, aesthetically crafted violin model. He transformed what existed before in string instruments, rebec, fidel, lira da braccio, into a new form, the violin as we know it today. He was not a tinkerer, not a loner experimenting in a quiet chamber. Andrea Amati was a craftsman, indeed an artist with vision, and probably also an entrepreneur, for he managed to sell his instruments all the way to the French court. For example, there is a record of an order from King Charles IX of France. For him, Amati built an entire family of string instruments, violins, violas, even bass instruments. Many of these pieces were adorned with the royal coat of arms, finely painted, and are still preserved today. One could say Andrea Amati was the first violin maker with international renown. His work was continued by his sons, especially by Antonio and Girolamo Amati, also known as the Amati brothers. They carried on their father's work, refining the models, working with even greater precision and aesthetics. Their violins were slimmer, sonically more sophisticated, and particularly in terms of shaping, the characteristic F-holes, the scroll, the proportions, so convincing that they served as a model for centuries. They turned the craft of violin making into a school with recognition value. And then comes Niccolò Amati, probably the most famous representative of the family. Born in 1596, he lived and worked in a time shaken by deep crises. From 1629 to 1633, the plague ravaged northern Italy, and also in Cremona. Almost half of the population died. The economic and social collapse was massive. And in the midst of it all, Niccolò, who ran his workshop during this time. Many of his colleagues and family members fell victim to the plague. Niccolò survived and became a central figure in the history of violin making. For it was precisely after this catastrophe that he created some of his most beautiful instruments. In the 1640s and 50s, what is now known as the grand pattern emerged, a slightly larger, more robust model with a warm, powerful sound. And this was not only a craft advancement, but also a musical one, because music was changing. The spaces became larger, the repertoire more demanding, the sound had to carry more. Niccolò Amati seemed to sense this. He did not simply continue developing, he anticipated. His influence extended far beyond his own workshop. Numerous students worked in his workshop, some directly, others indirectly. One of them was most likely none other than Antonio Stradivari. Whether he was really an official student is still not 100% proven to this day, but his early instruments bear a clear Amati signature. Andrea Guarneri, the founder of the famous Guarneri line, also learned from Niccolò. One could say the workshop of the Amatis was the foundation of the Cremonese school, the beginning of a golden era in violin making. And the fascinating thing about it is, all of this began in a small town, in a single family, with a single craft profession. But through the generations, it became a cultural heritage that has influenced the whole world. This very violin making has been celebrated as a UNESCO World Heritage for some time now. What is today referred to as the Italian sound, the epitome of depth, warmth, and resonance, that began with the Amatis. Their instruments are rare today, valuable, and are still being played. Musicians who hold a real Amati in their hands report a sound that almost seems to speak, fine, clear, but with soul. It is this character that is not simply the result of measurement and tools, but of intuition, experience, and yes, also of love for form. The Amati family has therefore not only perfected a craft, they have created a language of form, a language of sound that resonates over centuries. And perhaps that is their greatest legacy, that they have shown how something timeless can emerge from wood, resin, and craftsmanship. Something that sings, long after the master himself has fallen silent. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in again to the Stradivari podcast. Subscribe and share it with others, and continue to join us on this acoustic journey into the fascinating world of string instruments. Stay curious. We'll hear from you.